What's up, guys? Welcome back to Life So Crazy. It's the Vongola boss here. Where to even start with this one? Controversy is ever present in entertainment nowadays, but Disney's live-action Snow White remake has gone on what can only be described as a generational run in embroiling itself in controversy. And I'm not giving the exact timeline here, I'm just listing off what comes to mind. Starting off with the casting of the notorious Rachel Zegler, because the movie's called Snow White, and she's anything but. Then, to add insult to injury, Zegler, back in 2022, in her infinite hubris, decided to rub even more people the wrong way by bashing the first Snow White movie.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that
She's
is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
That's okay. You can keep it.
I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie,
Right.
Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yeah.
It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
I'm a narcissist.
To Peter Dinklage pulling up the ladder behind him by blasting Disney for their initial depiction of the dwarves. So Disney changed gears and instead of casting people and, putting bread in people's pockets, decided to go with these CGI abominations instead. Can't forget how Snow White and the Evil Queen were at odds in real life too with the Israel-Hamas war, with both Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler speaking out in support of Israel and Palestine respectively. And then Zegler, after the 2024 presidential election, chose to go to war with 70-some million people by going on her Instagram and posting that she wished Trump supporters never know peace. So with all the examples I've listed thus far, we have at minimum 5 different groups of people that this movie has alienated, if not at the very least rubbed the wrong way. At this point though, this movie was already cooked. Disney just didn't know it yet, and their last ditch effort to crack the whip and put a muzzle on Zegler ultimately failed, but it was funny to see this girl eat some humble pie in an attempt to sway public opinion. You see, there's 2 types of people in this world: those who are humble and those who are about to be.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
I'm hopeful, yes I am hopeful for today.
But why am I even making a video on this? Grown-ass man talking about Snow White. Well, now that the movie has released to scathing reviews and an abysmal opening weekend to match, I just think the fallout of it is very interesting. You have people trying to distance themselves from this flop and trying to throw Rachel Zegler under the bus. This movie and everything surrounding it is a circus, and who am I to not cover clowns infighting? We have the son of the producer of Snow White who went off on Rachel Zegler after receiving this comment. Your dad flew to New York City to reprimand a young actress? Now, what does her being young have to do with the price of tea in China? She is an adult. And spare me the, oh, she's not 25, no frontal lobe. That's an excuse people who lack common sense and home training used to excuse being stuck on stupid. Any words on this? Cause that's creepy as hell and uncalled for. People have the right to free speech. No? Shame on your father. I don't have the full context to this, but I still want to know how she knows that.
How you, I'm saying, talk to me, bro. You the police?
You really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to go fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability. And her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged.
You believe that?
There's no way you're surrounded by Holly weirdos and seriously believe that last line. But it makes sense that a higher up would do the smart thing and check Zegler with the way she was single-handedly running this movie into the ground. Mind you, this is the same guy who helped produce the Little Mermaid remake, which also faced similar scrutiny. And I don't remember how exactly that movie did. I think it did okay for the most part. But in that situation, the lead actress, Halle Bailey, managed to do something Rachel Zegler evidently cannot: keep her mouth shut. And I'm certain she wanted to get some things off her chest. I cannot emphasize this enough, but the producer of Snow White flew out to have a word with her. He wanted to get the message across in no uncertain terms. What's this? The lead for my movie is acting up? Well, a simple email or phone call would suffice. But no, he hopped on a jet and told this girl to SYBAU to her face.
Shut your bitch ass up!
It's Hollywood, baby.
Let me stop because I'm clearly just saying what I would have done in that situation, which is crack the whip. But let's be clear here, in reality, he was probably gentle in trying to reason with her. Rachel Zegler is now being thrown under the bus by the same people who put the battery in her back. She is undoubtedly and unabashedly a goofy. But she alone is not the sole reason why this Desperte Basura ranks even lower than Dragon Ball Evolution on IMDb. When you're in that territory, your movie can officially be deemed a crime against cinema. Do you know just how bad Dragon Ball Evolution is? It's one of those we don't talk about movies, something we try to forget even exists. When Goku said this is going even further beyond, he did not mean like this, Disney. Did I mention that the trailers of this movie were getting ratioed into oblivion? Yeah, this movie stood a snowball's chance in hell at being successful. But was anyone really expecting any different from another classic movie being made for a modern audience? Nothing is sacred in this day and age, not even something like Snow White. She came onto the floor at D23 and said, "It ain't 1937," with her whole chest. Excuse me? Snow White's still a banger to this day.
To this day! To this day! You just sit here, you don't know what I'm talking about?
I gotta admit, her speed run to becoming one of the most despised actresses in Hollywood is pretty impressive at the age of 23 and in an industry that is in no shortage of egotistical narcissists. She has made a name for herself. I guess the cream really does rise to the top. Now the question is, what is to become of this young woman's career? There have been plenty of movies that flopped. Meanwhile, the actors and actresses or directors managed to fail ahead and continue to find work in bigger and bigger projects. I don't think that's going to be the case here for Rachel Zegler. Instead of putting the fries in the bag, she chose to drop a deuce where she ate. Well, hey, while it's easy to make Zegler a scapegoat, if we're keeping it a buck, this movie never stood a chance. Let this be a reminder that when the chips are down,
these civilized people, they'll eat each other.
If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and sound off in the comments down below. I want to hear what y'all got to say about this. Check out the 2 videos showing up on the screen to see more Life So Crazy. It's been the Vongola Boss, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.